Jake, it was 4 weeks on Saturday. Big fight for you, mate. Topping the bill at the University of Bolton Stadium, where you arguably your toughest test to date, mate. A guy who's been to levels that you want to go to. I think he's been the WBO European champion. And yes, he's had a little bit of current form that's not been brilliant. But it's still at levels that you've not been at. Twice as many fights as you. It's an intriguing one, mate.
Like you say, mate, it's been at that level that I want to get to and kind of get past, really. So it's a good fight for me. And even though he has had a dip in form, he's got balls, because he took Essuman for the British on a couple of weeks' notice. So even though he has had a dip in form, he's just taking fights, you know what I mean? And that's what boxing's missing in my opinion.
This is why I like him taking this fight.
Definitely.
I did an interview with him a few days ago, and he just said, I could go back and start beating those men that you're supposed to beat. He said, but I don't want that. He said, I want to stay where I'm at. I want to stay taking, gambles, because he believes that there's still something left there. 29, he's not particularly old, is he? No,
not in boxing. I completely agree with him. I don't think there's any point or merit in beating these guys. You're supposed to beat them. It's a lose-lose, really. It doesn't really get you anywhere if you do beat him. He's had the experience, like you've said, so what's the point in boxing him? It's just pointless, really, in my eyes. So you might as well just keep taking gambles, and then, hopefully you can get it right, just not against me for a week's time.
Well, like I say, he first came to my attention. I met him the fight before he fought VIP's Mason Cartwright. It was on the undercard of Josh Warrington when he beat Lee Selby for the world title, and it was a great fight. But a fight where he was getting beat. He was getting beat early on, but what I like about Darren is he never gives up, and he keeps persisting. And eventually he started turning the fight round, and whether he would have won or not, I don't know, because he never got to the scorecards. He caused a split on Mason and Cartwright's lip, and it ended up having to be stopped. But he was getting right back into the fight, and we was talking on the phone, and we said another fight where I think it was at the stadium where we're going to, Bolton, where he fought Liam Taylor during lockdown. I think it was an English eliminator, no, a British eliminator it was. And really after 3 rounds the fight was almost over. I think he'd been down twice with body shots from Liam, but Liam got the decision, but he was right back in that fight. I was sparring. I've been sparring Liam for his last fight, and he was talking about, obviously I told him that I'm boxing Darren and that, and he said that about him, he's tough and he's great and he'll be there till the end, and that's what we're seeing in his fights, against Essuman. He done that. Give him a decent fight. He was there till the end. He's all against Mason. He's pulling it back, so he's going to be there all night. I'm not. So you understand that, because this is like, listen, you've had some good tests. We were just talking before, and I said, I was looking back on your record, and had you ever fought anyone with a winning record? And sometimes by the time you get to 10 fights, you're 12-0 now. At 10 fights, you've actually not. Some people have not fought anyone with a winning record, and you fought 3 people. I remember you fought very early on in your career. I think it was only your second or third fight. Fought Ben Fields. And I think Ben had a winning record then. He was 4-3-1 or something. And then you had a great fight where you got a stoppage against Camille. Who I think he's gone on and continued boxing and been undefeated since you beat him. And then last time out, which perhaps was perfect for you, because we was at the University of Bolton Stadium where you stepped up. You did 8 rounds with. We call him journeyman, but he's not a journeyman, he's a dangerman, because he's only young himself. I think he's only about 24, 25. Fights all over the place, always looking for a win, and I think he came into the fight with you in a bit of good current form. I think he'd had 2 wins and a loss. While on the road, his record was, I think, 19 wins, 18 losses. and he was a southpaw.
Yeah.
Now I asked you before, was this planned? Did you know this was always in the horizon that you were going to fight Darren Tetley?
Yeah.
And you went no, but perfect preparation. Well,
sometimes things just play out right, and with that fight in particular, we got him late. We had someone else, I can't remember who it was now, but it was on the week that we ended up getting him, and we had an orthodox and he was a southpaw, so it was a bit. But in my eyes, if you're good enough, and you should be beating these guys anyway, so there's no point knocking them back. Do you know what I mean? So we got him last minute and we beat him, but yeah, in hindsight it's worked well, because obviously I've got Darren now and Darren's a southpaw.
And I thought, it's not actually, you fought a couple, you fought Lee Hallett, he's a southpaw. Has there been anyone else as a pro that you fought as a southpaw?
I can't think of any pros that I boxed as southpaw, but I boxed loads as an amateur, and I used to prefer boxing southpaws, to be honest.
Why that?
I don't know, I used to have, there was always one kid in my region, he was top actually, and it was, if I beat him, I'd go on to win it, and if he'd beat me, he'd go on to win it, and he was a southpaw, and every year in the region, we'd clash, so I had to learn how to deal with southpaws, and my coach, Paul Faulkner at the time, he was...
Oh yeah.
Do you know Paul?
Yeah, of course.
So he used to drill with me how to work with southpaws, and then whenever I'd come up against a southpaw, I'd prefer it, because I was always drilling to beat this kid, do you know what I mean? So yeah, I've always preferred him anyway.
And we was talking about that, because I spoke to Darren, and I said, does he know anything about you? And obviously he knew your record as a professional, but you said that you'd actually been on an England camp together. I think it was back in 2010, where you went up to Scotland.
Yeah.
Was it up in Scotland?
Glasgow, yeah.
I think there was you, Josh Taylor, and obviously Darren Tetley.
Yeah.
I think he was fighting at 64 kilos, you were at 57,
was it?
And you all won as well.
Yeah. I remember that trip. I'm surprised he remembers it, but yeah, it was a good trip, and boxed for England with him and stuff like that. So I remember Darren from the amateurs. Oh yeah, he's always been a good
Did you
kid.
box many times for England then?
Boxed 5 times for England.
5 times. Because you were a good amateur, weren't you? I mean, I think you won 3 national titles.
Yeah.
So you know, and obviously he was a good amateur. It's took a while to get to here, but do you feel this is already, and you know, the little bumps in the road that you've had have all just been for this moment in time?
Yeah, 100%. It's all experience, everything along the way, just experience what builds you up as a fighter, innit? And he's had his own experiences, and it's gonna make for a good fight. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
You're not the only one. I think we've got a great card on there as well, because we've got a few kids from the Liverpool show that Steve had to cancel have been added to that. So I think it's a maximum we can get. There's 12 fights on there, so everyone's getting value for money.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be some good tests. Topped off with this, which I know obviously I'm Team VIP, you're VIP. But I honestly don't know who wins, because if he's got anything left, which I think he has, and this is going to be a good fight, mate.
Looking forward to it, mate. Well, he's got a point to prove, and like that's what you were saying on the phone.
Well, he wants to stay there. He wants to stay there, and you want to be where he's been.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
This is your first step in that direction, isn't it?
Yeah.
And like you say, but it's a big step. A big step.
Yeah. If you're good enough, you make it, and if not, you're probably never going to. That's the way I see it.
I like that philosophy, mate. You know, there's too many fighters out there that don't really want to test themselves.
100%, mate. It kills the game, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, it doesn't it?
And the way I see it, look at Darren, for instance. Worst case scenario, you get beat. It's not the end of the world. Do you know what I mean? You just go again, don't you? It's just one of them, like. And too many people protecting the record.
If it's a good fight, it doesn't matter whether you win or lose to a certain extent, because people remember the fights.
You stopped and still rising the last guy.
Yeah, but also opportunities like this opportunity arise for him.
Yeah.
If he would have been 20, if he would have been, I think he's had 25 fights. If he would have been 25-0, you know, this one fight wouldn't have happened. You know, so sometimes you look at a record and you think, oh, this is a perfect time to get him. Now we've done that. We think this is a perfect time to get Darren Tetley. Whether it is or not, we'll only find out on June the 24th.
Yeah. Look forward to it.
How's preparations going? We're down here at Lucas. Is your strength and conditioning coach and good friend?
S&C coach. So training this morning with Crawler in S&C now with Lucas. Been training 3 times a day for the first time ever, proper focused on his fight, because that's what's needed to beat him in my eyes. So it should be the best Jake James on the night. And
best Jake James you've seen?
100%, mate.
We've seen you. I mean, like say, a good performance last time out, but I remember you getting I think it was your second stoppage, or was it your third stoppage? It was at Bolton again as well,
Yeah.
where you stopped a kid who very rarely gets stopped, and I'd seen him in with some big lads, and you know, he's took everything they've got, and you just pulled off one of the best uppercuts I've ever seen. It was perfectly placed, mate, and there's no way he was getting up, was there?
No. I was catching him early with it, but to be fair, I was more surprised than anyone else. You know what I mean? 'Cause I thought there's no way of stopping this kid. He takes everyone to the distance. But I was catching him a bit in the first round, but weren't putting out in it. And then I thought, if I sit down on this, I'm gonna hurt him. Do you know what I mean? And then yeah, I just sat down on it, and obviously that was it.
I think it was on some knockouts of the year. There's someone that put a video up there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like Javante Davis and like Wilder and all that, and then
yeah.
just me and Bolton in the middle of it.
But it was a sweet
top
shot,
shot,
wasn't it, mate? And
Yeah.
I have to say, I've just seen him. He'd done 4 rounds with. It was Travis Walters, a new kid who signed from the northeast. And Travis put everything on him. It was.
Couldn't budge him.
No, he couldn't.
Tough kid.
Really tough. But how are you finding it now? Because how many fights have you been with Ann Crawler now?
I think it's about 5 now.
Oh right, so I didn't realise it was that long. Was it just after lockdown or just before lockdown?
I think it was Joe. It was just before lockdown. It was just before lockdown.
Yeah.
I boxed at the Hilton against I can't remember his name now, but yeah.
Was that Camille, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then we went in lockdown then.
Right. And obviously his little brother. He's not so little actually.
No, he's bigger brother, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just had his matchroom debut, hasn't he? So.
It was nice that as well. 17 years ago, that's where Ant had his
was it?
debut.
I didn't realise that.
So it's following his little big brother's footsteps.
Yeah. Good. He handled the occasion well, didn't he? And
He did. I was happy for young Campbell as well. It was a good little show. I only watched the undercard, but obviously we had a bit of interest there because of the top of the bill and Josh Warrington and all that. But this fight is a very, very important fight for you to go where you want to go and where we believe you can go, and a very important fight for him because he wants to stay where he's been,
100%.
and that's what makes it exciting. So, and first of all, last thing. Congratulations, because the last time I spoke to you, which is your win after Robin Zamora, you're a daddy.
Yeah, I'm a daddy.
What was it, a little boy or a little girl?
A little girl.
What's her name?
Harper.
Harper.
So it gives me the added motivation. Now any like kind of slack or anything is just out the window now. It's just completely.
Did you feel like there's been a mental change with you?
Yeah, 1,000,000%. It just puts everything into perspective, doesn't it? And you're kind of doing it for them now. Do you know what I mean?
So is this like, you know, they say everything for a reason? You know, the being fortunate to have a southpaw last time, this the biggest fight, the fight you've wanted for a while, you know, because it's not a final eliminator, but it's an eliminator, and you know the way things move. You could be fighting for that English title in your next fight if you come through this. Fingers crossed.
100%. That's what I've been asking. I've been wanting them or asking Woody for stuff like that for a while. Do you know what I mean? But I get it's difficult in it because people. You might be a high risk fight, but you're not really high in the rankings, and you've not had your eliminator, so you've got to kind of earn your stripes and push your way through. And that's.
I was surprised when I looked at the rankings because you've got a stablemate, James Moorcroft, another kid. He's welterweight as well. He's slightly above you. I think you're ranked 19, and I was surprised because Darren is well below you. I think he's ranked 27. So it's his way of fighting his way back up here. Back up into the rankings, but with you, I presume if you win this one, this is going to put you right up there as well.
Yeah, game of snakes and ladders, isn't it? You get a couple of wins, you go up the board, don't you? And then you have a loss, and you can shoot back down. So like Darren is in the 20s, but he's not really. Do you know what I mean? People, he's probably in the top.
Well,
10
there's a few names I was looking above him that I was surprised.
That's what I mean.
And I was like, well, hang on, who they've been in with? You know.
So people who know boxing, you can look at them and you just think it's not really.
I think the top 10 is generally pretty bang on, but that from 10 to 30.
Yeah, you have one good win, you can shoot up, and you have one loss, you shoot back down. So it's just got to take it with a pinch of salt, haven't you? But yeah, it's a proper fight, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, not got long to wait now.
No.
What's Ant got in store for you? Any particular sparring? Anyone?
Yeah, I've had some good sparring. I've got some sparring tomorrow morning, so I'm just.
Who's that with?
This kid from Paulino, his gym. He's got a southpaw there.
Oh, Paulie, yeah.
Paulie, yeah.
Who's the southpaw?
Is he Duke or something like that. Not 100%.
I don't know.
Yeah. So my first one.
Oh, is he an amateur?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I filmed him.
Yeah.
He's not a bad kid.
Supposed to be good, yeah. So.
His son had a good win on the Black Flash show.
Yeah. He's turned into a good little fighter.
Amazing change around for him. I remember
yeah.
he was a little kid. He was a little chubby kid. And,
was he chubby? Yeah, no.
Yes, he was. He was a chubby little lad.
Turned into a proper man now, and he's filling out a bit.
And he stopped Jake Bray, who few people stopped.
Yeah.
So.
And he upsets a few people, that Jake Bray, doesn't he? He's all right.
I like Jay. He's just
nice
he's just tough.
Yeah.
He's tough and he's relentless. But Mario was too strong for him, and I think he quit on his stool at the end of the third.
Yeah.
So that's a real good tick in the box for
Mario. Together well, Mario.
And you, this is, we talked about being a family man, but all your gyms are on your doorstep.
Yeah.
You only live up the road from here.
Yeah.
And Ants is only down the road the other way, isn't it? You're spoiled, aren't you?
Not after played it well, haven't I?
And don't you work somewhere around here as well?
Yeah, this is where I work, so I don't really venture out of my place, but yeah. I hate traffic, so yeah.
Well, listen, good luck for the 24th.
Nice one, mate.
Hopefully I'll be chatting to you afterwards, and it'll be unlucky or lucky, we don't know. Fight number 13, isn't it?
Be lucky, yeah.
Are you superstitious or anything?
Nah, I'm not bothered about that.
So it's going to be unlucky for Darren Tetley?
Yeah. Did you ask him, is he superstitious? Did you ask him?
He's not superstitious. Plays nothing in it, but a lot of fighters are.
Yeah.
So listen.
It's mental. I think it's a sign of weakness in it, because you're being negative in your own head, right? You think, no, it's unlucky.
I suppose so, but I mean, sometimes it's just habits that develop and you don't really plan on them. It's like, people putting on the left shoe first and then the right glove first, and
sound like you're superstitious, right?
I'm not, I don't really have any. I'm just lazy, so whatever's the easiest, that's happened for me, mate. Listen, good luck, like I say, I'll see you. Might catch up with you before then, I don't know. I would think we're talking, if you're up for it, Steve Little's about 10 days before the fight, going to do a little head-to-head with you. I think it's a fight worthy of it, because there's, like I say, a lot at stake for both of you, for him to stay where he is and for you to go where he's been. This is a fight that we'll find out.
Yeah, definitely.
Jake, take care. See you on the 24th. Bye.
Thank you.
For all boxing info, news and latest interviews, amateur and pro, across the north, click and subscribe. VIP Boxing Promotions. Also, Twitter, Instagram and Facebook.